And yes, this meeting is going to be recorded, and eventually later on, hopefully, we will be able to put it on our website for you to enjoy at any moment. Today, we are going to talk about BillionGraves and how to transcribe records over there. I see a lot of familiar faces. If you can turn on your cameras, I would love to see you. In the meantime, you can, of course, write on the chat your name and where are you from. Would love to have a peek on that later after. As I said, I'm looking some familiar faces. I'm seeing new people here, and I am always glad uh, that you are coming. Today, we're going to talk again in English. We're going to repeat this lecture in Hebrew on Wednesday at the same time. And then because of the holidays, we're going to do a pause. And on April 20, we are going to have our next meeting via Zoom about Holocaust research. So you are all invited. Okay, so without further ado, because we just have 40 minutes tops for this, I'm going to start sharing my screen to go right into subject. Okay, so I'm gonna put this here. Excellent. Okay, I see we have new people coming in. So welcome everybody. Okay, great. So today we are going to talk about BillionGraves. BillionGraves is a company based in Utah, in Salt Lake City, or very close to Salt Lake City at least. And the idea is to photograph and transcribe all the tombstones around the world. BillionGraves is available in different languages, and you can change the language right here in the upper right corner. But the language is basically taken from your browser. So whatever your browser is set for language, that is the language that it's going to get. And in my case, I have English, so you are seeing this in English. The first thing that you can actually see in BillionGraves is the option to search for any tombstone around the world. Now, the caveat here is that because you should be transcribing the tombstones, you need to search on the language that the tombstone is written. So in Israel, most of the tombstones are going to be written in Hebrew. We have a lot of Arabic and Russians as well. And if you're not familiar with the language, you will not be able to find out how to search those. But if you stay till the end, I promise to give you a hint on how you can do that without any problem. Now, here, as you see this screen, I am not logged in. I'm going to change my view to logged in into BillionGraves. BillionGraves is basically a free website, and you can do almost everything without needing to pay. They have some extra features that you will need to pay in order to have one. This is my desktop or my main page. In here, you can see all my activities. And the first thing is something that I really find very, very comforting, which is how many people I have helped. And I can help people either by photographing, which is mostly what I do in BillionGraves, or by transcribing. So yes, what I like to do, I'm kind of a photographer. I like to go to cemeteries. I like to take pictures of the tombstones and then upload them to BillionGraves. I use for that my smartphone with an app, and probably in another time I will be more than happy to show you how this works. But today I would like to concentrate in another activity which is as important as the photographing, which is the transcription. You can go to the transcription page in two ways. One is from this big button right here on the left side of the panel, or if you go from the menu and you click the option to transcribe, you will be automatically presented to one tombstone and you will be able to start transcribing immediately. Now, how BillionGraves knows what picture to bring me? If I have taken some pictures, that is going to be among the first pictures that I'm going to receive. In this case, I was in Romania. I took pictures in a cemetery over there in my grandmother's town of Borșa. And those are the images that I'm being presented right away. Now, there is another option. If you have never photographed any cemeteries, you will actually see images that are around you. So if you're in Israel, chances are that you're going to see Israeli tombstones. If you are in the States, in any particular city, you're going to see the photos that somebody else took in that particular location. Now, there is a way to choose what you want to transcribe, and that is up here in the menu. The first thing you can choose is the language. So if you know Hebrew, German, English, any language, you can set over there the language, and BillionGraves is going to use that as a preference. The other thing you can do is you can select by country. So I'm going to choose, in this case, Israel, and I'm going to be presented with all the cemeteries in Israel that have missing transcriptions images over there. And because I just took a few pictures in Kfar Saba, I'm going to select that, and just by clicking done, I'm going to be automatically presented with whatever image is left in the cemetery of Borșa. Again, why not? I selected this, and let's do clear all. Again, Israel and Kfar Saba, Pardes Chaim. Okay, that's much better. Done. And yes, now I am seeing the latest image in Pardes Chaim in Kfar Saba that I took. And you can see down here on the lower left corner that this picture was taken by MH Chief Jen, which is my nickname here, the location, and the cemetery. Now, if the image is not clear, you can, of course, rotate it, or because not all the pictures are in the right way, you can, of course, use this buttons in the corner to zoom in, zoom out. You can use also the mouse to move and to resize the image. And you can see that even the pictures were taken with a smartphone. Okay, the quality is actually very good, and I can zoom in and zoom out and see everything over there. Now, let's go to the right side. Sometimes people upload by mistake, I would like to think, images that are not tombstones. You can report images here. You can set up the image of the tombstones for whatever reason. Let's say you are doing images in Israel and you detect that one of the tombstones are in Ukrainian or in Russian, you could set the language of the tombstone here, and that will help BillionGraves to set up the right lecture for the right language for the image and allow them to come to the right people. I can link this image to another one, and this happens a lot, especially if we're taking more than one image for the tombstone and the app didn't link it correctly. I could click there and I will be able to see the before and after pictures and see if it's related, and then I can link those images. And sometimes, yes, I take and people take more than one picture per tombstone just to make sure that we have everything there. In this case, I don't need to do that, so I can just go back to my image and keep on transcribing. Now, on the right side, you will see in English, in this case, the different fields that BillionGraves assume are in this tombstone. Of course, we have a given name, we have a family name or a surname, we have the birth, day, month, year, the death, day, month, year, or the age at death in years, months, and days. And this is the very basic information that you can find on a tombstone. Now, because we are in Israel, because we're talking about Jewish tombstones, obviously we will be able to see and show Hebrew dates. And here, if the date is in Hebrew, you will be actually able to choose day, month, and year in Hebrew, and it will be converted automatically to Gregorian. So it doesn't matter what date I'm seeing here. Let's say Tishrei, I can just simply look for Tishrei and have it over there. Same for the death, okay? If by any chance we know that this happened after sunset, I will be able just to set it here, and we know that the calendar will take the next day, because in Jewish dates, after sunset is already considered the next day. So for now, I'm gonna hide the Hebrew dates, and I'm gonna keep on with the options that BillionGraves give me here. Choose a religion. Yeah, it will be good to say that this person is Jewish, and right there I have an icon for that. I can change the religion, or I can just delete it at any point in time if you made a mistake over there. Then I can add also military information. If the tombstone says in any place that the person was in a specific battalion, or it's from Tzahal or any other unit in the army, I can put it here without any problem. And the next option is other people not buried here. And again, if we go to Jewish tombstones, this is actually very important, because most of the tombstone, if not all of them, are going to show at least the name of the father. Okay, in this case, we're talking about Miriam bat Yosef, Miriam, the daughter of Yosef. So Yosef would be the father and would be a person mentioned in this tombstone, but not buried here. So by accessing this option, I can add multiple people, and I can also add the relationship for this person. Why I have so many relationships? Because also I have seen, and it's used to, some people use the tombstone of the death in order to commemorate some of the relatives that probably perished in the Holocaust, or for whatever reason they never got a tombstone. So you would be able to see the names over there, and you would be able to add all the people and as many people as you want. Probably if you have in the written part, you have the name of the spouse, or you have the name of another relative over there, even that they are not buried here, you will be able to write it here. Now, the next option would be the advanced mode. And in here, you see that I have more fields in case that I have a prefix or I have a suffix, or if we're talking about, for example, a woman that is married, and for any chance I have the maiden name, I can also now put it over there. And I have more information that I can do here. Now, a big problem of some people, at least, is the capability to write in a different language. And I'm not saying that you don't know the language, but do you know the language, but you don't have the proper keyboard for that? Well, BillionGraves allows you to click on the very corner of each of the fields where you have this international symbol for languages, and you can just see here all the characters and the umlauts and accented characters as well. This is only international, this is not Hebrew, and if you do or you would like Hebrew, you will need to have Hebrew installed on your computer. Now, in the case that there will have more than one people buried in this place and appearing in the same picture, you can add another person right here, okay? And this will be like the second person buried. So if this is a couple, and when I take pictures, I try to keep couples together, because sometimes you may be looking for one of them and you don't know the other. If you have them both in the same image, and if you have both same transcribed it at the same record, it will be quite useful to find them both at the same time. So you can add as many people as you want. And finally, once you have all this transcribed, you only need to click on the Save button up here on the right upper right corner, or the lower corner where you have the disk, if you remember those. Disk where we used to save information, that will save the transcription. Now, up till very recently, BillionGraves will show you only tombstones that have not been transcribed at all. Recently, they decided to go and use like a double transcription method, meaning another pair of eyes. So if you would like to just go over, review, and approve somebody else's transcription, you can go into the settings, and you have these options here, like where to see the panel, if you want the simple mode, or if you want the different fields and how you want the dates. Very important. If you wanted American style, month, day, year, or if you want day, month, year, other parts of the world, including Israel style, you can choose that in here. And then here is what they call the second pass. Second pass is a tombstone that was already transcribed by somebody else, and you only need to review and approve those. So you can choose if you want only first pass, only tombstones that have not been transcribed ever, or only second pass. You only want to review somebody else's transcription, or you don't mind and you don't care if they bring you both. You can leave it in both, not a problem. And just by setting that here, that will be remembered. Now, let's imagine that this, for again, whatever reason, this is not a tombstone, and I will rate and I will leave a flag if this is not a headstone, or there's no information to transcribe, or it's an appropriate image, and I can flag any image in the system first. And or if for whatever reason, let's say I come to a Russian tombstone and I'm not fluent and I cannot transcribe a tombstone in Russian, I can just skip the next one up here, and automatically it will bring me the next one. Okay. Now, also very important, and I'm going to skip this one as well, trying to look for a good example. And I think that this is actually a very good one, because the main person is Jaime or Jamie, as you can see here. In fact, this is in Spanish, so I know that this is Jaime, but I have seen some people use the other person option to go back here and start transcribing Abraham right in the tombstone next to it, okay? Please don't do that. I'm sure, not because I took the picture, but because this is what all the photographers are doing here, that there is a picture more clear and more center for Abraham, and there is no relationship between Abraham back here and Chaim in the front. So just stick to the main person in the frame. Now, remember I said that you will need to search on the language of the tombstone. So in this case, it's either Hebrew or the name, if somebody right here, Chaim in Hebrew and also Jaime in English. But there is a workaround for that, and it's to use the database available on MyHeritage from BillionGraves. And this is exactly the same records that you have in BillionGraves. MyHeritage has a partnership that receive updates from BillionGraves. The great advantage is that MyHeritage will use a transcription technology right here. So if I will write Moshe Cohen and I will say Israel as the burial place, what I'm expecting to see here is tombstones written in Hebrew, okay, right here. So MyHeritage found a Moshe Cohen written in Hebrew and transliterate back to English, which is the language that I am using for the search, and I will be able to go and to see that specific tombstone. Once I go into the details, I can see here the Hebrew, which is the main language of the record. I will see the information, and MyHeritage is going to point me out to the original record in BillionGraves. This is how a tombstone looks, and this is from the Tzfat cemetery. Now, BillionGraves is going to show me not only the main person that I was looking for, and you can, by clicking up here, you would be able to see full image, and you will be also able to do zoom in and see the whole tombstone and see it a little bit closer. But also, I will see nearby graves, because people want to be buried always together and be together as they did in life. They also want to do it after life. So I will be able to see the nearby tombstones, and I will be able to find relative around my person, and I will see other information here. Now, if I would like to visit that burial, and I know that for one reason they are not showing it correctly, but let's see if it's coming, because they should have, yes, they do. They should have a pinpoint in the location of the tombstone in the cemetery. So I will know when I would like to go and visit my individual, that I will be able to go through the gates in and then go up to the fourth section over here. And more or less in the upper middle area is the burial that I want to visit. So this is also a very good way of having the location of the tombstone.
Excuse us, we didn't see the example for the last 2 minutes because this screen is not shared.
Okay, thank you, Erez. I'm very sorry for that. I was supposed to share my screen and you were supposed to see my screen. So let's see if now you see the example. Yes, thumbs up. Erez?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for pointing that to me. So did you see the example of the search on MyHeritage? Yes, okay. So
no, we saw only the BillionGrave.
Okay, so then thank you very much for that. And that is the advantage of doing an interactive Zoom meetings. I'm back into the MyHeritage BillionGraves collection. I wrote here Moshe Cohen in Israel. I run a search, and you can see that this is a free collection, so you don't actually need payment or registration. On MyHeritage, I have different results here, including Hebrew. You have here Moshe Cohen, transliterated into English. And when you go in, you see all the original information. And when you click on the image or you click on the link, you will be going to BillionGraves. In here, in the upper left corner of the image, you will be able to zoom in. And if there are more than one picture associated to this image, you will be able to see them all over there. And I was showing the nearby graves, and you heard that explanation. And I'm scrolling down, and now you can see the location of the tombstone in the cemetery and have an idea before you go there. This is more or less how you can use it. You can transcribe information in BillionGraves. You will be also able to edit the information with the a pencil that you have in the upper left corner right here. You can edit this translation if it's not accurate, or you can even, and this is what I started with, you can thank the transcriber or the photographer for the work that they are doing. Thanks for this image. And I can send a thank you note for that person. Okay, so we are already 30 minutes into the session. So I'm going to start reading a little bit of the questions that you wrote here. We didn't see the source. Okay, please let us know why time changed. Will this happen on the other webinars? No, we are always going to do these webinars at this time. It's 9:00 p.m. Israel time. So whatever time is right now in your country, that is the time that we're going to do our sessions. And the next one is going to be very appropriate about Holocaust records, and that will be on April 20. I'm pretty sure that you can follow IGRA on social media.
Daniel?
Yes, Gary, yes.
There's a difference between the webinars and the Zoom sessions. The webinars will begin at 7 o'clock in the evening, Israel time. The Zoom sessions are at 9 o'clock. And the Holocaust session will be on Wednesday and not on Monday because it's Erev Yom HaShoah. So we will not be doing it. It's the evening of the Holocaust, the Shoah Day. So we will not be doing it on Monday. We'll be doing it on Wednesday instead. The link will remain the same link that you have, and it's available on the homepage of the IGRA website.
And that is why I love to have you as my conscience. Thank you very much, Gary. Okay, so point clarified. Dalia is asking how BillionGraves is different from Find a Grave. Well, the first difference, Galia, is that BillionGraves starts with the picture that somebody takes. Yes, you can also upload other records or pictures that you have taken not with the app or not with a smartphone, but most of the images and most of the records, let's call it like that, they start with a picture taken from a smartphone, which gets the geolocation, and then you can see the location of the tombstone in the cemetery. That was the main idea of BillionGraves. The other difference is people, some people likes BillionGraves, other people likes more Find a Grave. BillionGraves is still an independent company. Find a Graves today it's owned by Ancestry. So pretty much those are the differences. Of course, the way that they display the information, but in both you can write memories about the person, or you can just make a remembrance page over there without any problem. So if you have any other questions, I will be more than happy to answer. You can write them right there in the Zoom chat. Can I upload a tombstone with a specific location only placed without a specific location? Yes, Eres. I have a lot of pictures taken by other people before smartphones were used to do that. Yes, I can actually open a cemetery even from my house. I don't need to be in the exact location. I can pinpoint the cemetery in the map, and I can upload images, or even if you have a list of people buried over there from Havra Kadisha, from the Burial Society, you can use that and upload. The downside is that the picture will not have a pin in the map to show the exact location. Can I use BillionGraves just for searching for a graves as well, is asking Ilana. Yes, Ilana, for sure. You can go into the very top where it says search BillionGraves. And actually you can search two ways. You can search for a tombstone, and remember again that you need to use the exact spelling of the tombstone here, or you can use the cemetery search, which is actually what I do before I go to photographed. I can see the cemeteries if they have already pictures taken and what is the status of those images, and you can see here all the cemeteries. So if I will go here, you see that there are people requesting pictures from this cemetery, or this one is complete, or this one has some pictures missing. So there is reason for all the colors over there. If I found a tombstone in a cemetery which is missing from BillionGraves, can I add it? Yes, of course, you can always add more and more. In fact, I actually went and I took pictures of the latest ones in Karsaba a couple of weeks ago. Raylen, I'm having a hard time finding grave of relative with a common name, David Cohen. What to do? Well, yeah, definitely there is not much you can do with David Cohen or Moshe Cohen. Just keep looking. Not all the tombstones are photographed. In Israel, I would say 95%, 98% of the tombstones were already photographed and transcribed, at least till a couple of years ago. If it's in another country, I will suggest you to try to find people, local people that can actually help you with that. Nurit is asking, how do I download an image that you find on a cemetery? Very easy. Let me go back to my tombstone right here. I'm going to zoom in on the image. I can do right click over the image and then say save image as, and that image is going to be downloaded to your computer without any problem. Let's see, I can find a Morris Silver known to have died in Israel, but don't know where. Well, again, MyHeritage or BillionGraves or even Find a Grave can help you, Dalia. Just make sure that you search in Hebrew with the right letters, and that is the best I can do. You can actually try to call Chevra Kadisha here, but again, if you don't know the place, that is kind of a problem. Okay, what are the extra things you can access by being a member of BillionGraves? That's a very good question, and I'm not so sure about it. I think you can get some alerts about tombstones or cemeteries that you can follow. And I'm pretty sure that they will be very eager to tell you what this, here, see more nearby graves. That is also an option for the BillionGraves Plus account that you can get. There is also a subscription site called Jewish Data that has Jewish cemetery photos. It's telling us, Martin, thank you very much, Martin, for that. Yes, Jewish Data also have burials, most of them from the United States, if I'm not mistaken.
Daniel, there's also the site Graves that's new in Israel.
Graves, yes. You have also Neshama that also have some burials in Israel. You know what? As my son says, just use Rav Google and search for burials in Israel. You will for sure find them without any problem. Okay, any other questions in the chat? I will be more than happy to answer. I'm looking for a person named Gutman who was reportedly stoned to death in Palestine in 1930s. Which cemetery should I look for him? Okay, Harry, the first thing you should try is to know a little bit of Israeli history probably, and see what cemeteries were available in 1930s. I don't know if we're talking about Tel Aviv, Palestine. You will need to do a little bit of Google probably, and that will help. No, I have more than 15 seconds, Eres.